In this update, we're tracking multiple disturbances coming in off the West Coast heading into next week, where things look to be pretty active for your Christmas week ahead, especially in the days after Christmas. So if we expand the view this afternoon, take a look at the North American map, we've got these multiple disturbances. We'll have a conveyor belt of disturbances that come in off the West Coast. We'll have one highlighted across the Northeast, another one over the Southern Plains, another one out west, and then we'll have yet another one coming down from the Aleutian Islands, and yet another one that will be trailing back behind this one. So all this will be just a conveyor belt of systems that will be coming ashore, setting the stage for an active week, and could be a severe storm week, especially into the days after Christmas. So if you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel, and I would love to reach 250,000 subscribers by the end of the month. And you can help me get there by subscribing to the channel and following all my daily content. So here's the setup this morning, or this into this afternoon. We've got these series of disturbances, the snow that we've been tracking over the last couple of days. Whatever's left is ringing out some snow showers across the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic and portions of the Northeast between now and to tomorrow, as the polar jet continues to push further southbound, pushing some of the colder temperatures, kind of the last hurrah, because by Sunday we'll start to retreat back northbound. But right now we're still dealing with some cooler temperatures, if you will, and back behind it, that is still bringing some snow showers up here across the Ohio Valley. As of this afternoon, we are seeing some snow into portions of Pennsylvania, as well as into New York, right there into the Hartford, Connecticut region, down here in Massachusetts. So we are seeing that change over to some snow. I know Boston was seeing some snow flying. You're right at that, 32, 33, 34 degree mark up there in portions of the Northeast. So as we head into tonight, we'll start to see those cooler anomalies really start to creep further south, and the freeze line creep further south as well. So as you see, we've got about 70%, 72% of the country will actually see a freeze all the way down into the deep south, even there right at Dallas-Fort Worth, pushing it right at 32 degrees, 30 sneaking all the way into Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, getting into Georgia. Some single digits further north, especially where they have snow on the ground up there in the Dakotas, into Minnesota, back into Wisconsin. So it's definitely going to be a chilly night ahead. And tomorrow, what's left of the snow will be ringing out up the East Coast. So we should still see some leftover snow showers within Ohio, back here into eastern Kentucky, those areas into West Virginia, again into portions of Pennsylvania, up here into New York, and heading into Maine as this low pressure will continue to lift up to the Northeast. Notice the rest of the country is pretty much high and dry back behind that cooler shot of air, and back behind it, we'll kind of max out on Sunday morning, but we'll be seeing a lot drier conditions behind that Sunday morning atmosphere, because the high pressure really starts to settle in. That's one of the reasons why the temperatures will start to creep even lower, because that clear skies, light winds at night, and that brown is indicating drier air will sneak in and back into the Northeast as well as into the Southeast, good part of the South. But all eyes will be trending out west. We'll be watching a series of storm complexes coming in off the West Coast, and that could be multiple disturbances, like every other day, a series of disturbances that will be coming in off the West Coast. And it's really complements of this Pacific jet extension. This is the Pacific Ocean. There are the Hawaiian Islands. And what we're looking at is just kind of the upper level winds. It's a jet stream to the polar jet pushing in, and it's going to be bringing in warm Pacific air back into the picture. So for those anomalies that were trending much warmer than they have been for the West, is now going to be sharing those warmer anomalies really for the entire lower 48, as it pumps in much warmer temperatures for your Christmas week ahead. And if we look at the breakdown on the ensemble fronts, yes, it definitely looks unusually, unseasonably warm for Christmas week. This would be your temperature anomalies on for the ensemble view from Monday, December 23rd, all the way to Monday, December 30th. So yes, much warmer than average, 10, 15, upwards to times at 20 degrees above average in some spots. But further north into Canada, you're pressing 20, if not almost 30 degrees above average, while much of the Northeast and the East Coast is still trying to hang on by a dear thread of more or less average, or even slightly below average at times. But as we head into Christmas Eve, we'll be watching the first complex move in off the West Coast. So we'll have these series of disturbances that move in. Out ahead of it, we'll have some lift. So we should bring some showers back in the picture for portions of Texas, getting into Oklahoma, those areas into Arkansas, Missouri, back into Illinois. We'll be watching another, even a stronger complex of storms off the West Coast. This should pump in a lot of moisture and very heavy rain off the West Coast heading into next week. And that first system, as it moves in, it'll tap into a much warmer air mass. So as soon as the winds turn around on Sunday, these temperatures are going to start elevating big time. So by the time we head to Christmas Eve, yeah, you're going to be doing back into the warm, muggy conditions as you wake up on Christmas Eve. The dew point's going to be a muggy 60 to 60 down in southeast, north to central Texas, all the way up into Oklahoma. You're going to feel the mugginess outside, out ahead of that first disturbance that will be moving in, while we have the main disturbance coming in off the West Coast, pounding them with very heavy rain, tapping into those warmer anomalies. So this is kind of an unusually seasonally warm, Christmas Eve time frame. As you wake up December 24th, you're almost 20 degrees above average lows down there in Texas and Oklahoma, good part of Kansas, much of the Central Plains. So much of the lower 48 is above average. There are some areas that are basically right at average, and if not somewhat below average, but nonetheless overall warm for the lower 48. Now, this is what you would typically be for your Christmas Eve. So I know these normal temperatures change a lot. And so we're getting into the time frame where we're going to start to get the coldest time of the year, right? These averages only go so low, and then they start creep back up as we start to warm up in the spring. But right now, just for an average low temperature in the Dakotas, we're talking single digits for an average low into Christmas Eve, well into the teens up here into Michigan, back here into upstate New York, 20s down here into Illinois, 20s creep all the way down into Oklahoma, just for overall just an average low, right? So when you're seeing some of those 10 to 15 degree above average temperature anomalies, that is definitely well above average, especially when you're counting like a 36 in Dallas. When you're waking up nearly almost 60 degrees, that's well above average, right? But up here in the Northeast, we'll have another disturbance that's coming across, and they're not as above average as most of the country. So it should be able to change over some of that rain to snow up here by the time we head into your Christmas Eve time frame for those areas across New York, getting back into Massachusetts, Connecticut again, getting into Rhode Island, Vermont, and New Hampshire, back into Maine. There's the lead disturbance that's highlighted over Texas, tapping into some of those higher dew points, right? So you got the higher dew points creeping back in the picture, while we've got very heavy rain that will be moving back in off the West Coast. Some of these could be some heavy flooding rains. Unfortunately, it's not going to hit areas into Southern California where they definitely need it the most. It's mainly going to be concentrated over Northern California, getting into Oregon, those areas, as this moves across into the Rockies. But as this gets into East Texas into the afternoon, yes, some of those could be some heavier downpours for your Christmas Eve, as you've got the Gulf of Mexico to work with. So I'm talking to you, those areas into Houston, Huntsville, areas into Nacogdoches, Tyler, just east of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texarkana, back hit all the way up into Conway, getting into Fort Smith, Arkansas, swinging as far north as in portions of even Missouri, getting some of that heavier rains. But the system out west will be starting to push some very high wind gusts out west, what that complex is coming in for your Christmas Eve. So some of these winds, and we could be dealing with some power outages up here off the West Coast, as some pretty intense winds and some high wind watches likely will be in effect for some of these areas as we get closer to your Christmas Eve towards your Christmas Day time frame. So your Christmas Day looks like this. For a good part of the country, you're going to be high and dry, right? So that storm system moves off the coast from Christmas Eve. So by your Christmas Day, there's not anything left. You got dry air back behind it. That system that will be highlighted over Texas will be highlighted over Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. These will likely not be severe, so these are not likely something to be concerned about. But we are concerned about is that much more potent system that will be coming in off the West Coast, and that could set the stage for definitely a little bit more elevated threat. But for your actual temperatures, for high temperatures for your Christmas, yes, that's definitely a sign of well above average temperatures, because you're start looking at almost the entire lower 48 staying basically above freezing for the entire duration of Christmas. So that's fairly unusual for Christmas time frame, because much lower anomalies are typically what's in store, but not this year, as much warmer temperatures will be pumped in, complements of that Pacific jet extension that will be coming in to the lower 48. But with that, it's going to bring an abundance amount of moisture and a little bit more potent storm complex that will be highlighted across the West Coast. But once it gets in past the Rockies and sets up shop across Texas into the Oklahoma region, this could be a negatively tilted trough. And I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about this, because we could be looking at some stronger thunderstorm activity and some severe storms as we head into the day after Christmas, setting up into Texas and Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, those areas into Louisiana. This would be your favorite area possibly for some strong to severe storms start to break out. And of course, this is 6-7 days out from now, but right now it is definitely looking concerning, tapping into those warmer anomalies, higher dew points, more moisture return coming in off the Gulf. Very concerning. And there's the dew points coming back into the low 60s again. So you get a reprieve down here in this area for Christmas Day. It all comes back as moisture returns again back for the day after Christmas. We'll be pumping those dew points back up to almost 60 degrees up here in Texas with the dry line activity. That could set the stage for another round of severe storms, especially with these upper level winds are cranking about 50 miles an hour. So this could be definitely some stronger storms. We could even get some tornadoes out of this setup. So it's something I'm definitely fine tuning in the days ahead as we get a little bit closer, because longer range guidance does show a more active time frame into the days after Christmas, because we'll be watching yet another disturbance that trails behind that one. So your 26, 27, 28, 29 time frame could be pretty active across Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, back into Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, those areas into western Tennessee for severe storms. So we'll be definitely fine tuning this as we get a little bit closer towards Christmas. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch my next update while I protect you before and after the storm.